The Mint Door Podcast with Dr. Karen Tyndall and Dr. Laura Schwint. Are you a high achiever feeling the burnout blues? Well, the Mint Door Podcast is your oasis. But before we introduce you to today's phenomenal guest, we're extending an invitation to something extraordinary. We're mixing up the perfect antidote to burnout with our Mint Julep newsletter, a weekly dose of inspiration delivered straight to your inbox.
Each edition of the Mint Julep is more than just words on a page. It delivers connection, brimming with inspiration, positivity, and a dash of fun. Think of it as your virtual happy hour with a supportive community of high achievers. We'll help you unwind, recharge, and rediscover the joy in the everyday.
So subscribe to the Mint Julep and let's clink glasses or coffee mugs to live a more inspired, joyful life, 1 week at a time. And remember, if you're more of a visual learner, we've got you covered. All of our podcasts plus bite-sized coaching tips are on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/themintdoor. Subscribe for happiness on the go.
So get ready to supercharge your practice and the hidden potential within your team. Today, we're joined by a true champion for dental professionals, a voice of inspiration and a master of communication, the one and only Kevin Henry.
Now, with over 2 decades of experience leading the dental publishing world, Kevin has been the driving force behind iconic publications like Dental Products Report and Dental Economics. Now, as the editor-in-chief of drbicuspid.com, he's at the forefront of the digital dental revolution.
But that's not all. Kevin's passion goes beyond the printed page. He's a sought-after speaker, igniting the dental assistant community through his captivating presentations and the insightful Dental Assistant Nation podcast series.
And hold on tight, because Kevin brings another layer of expertise to the table. He's a certified DISC trainer, helping teams like yours crack the code of personality dynamics for smoother collaboration and greater success.
So if you're ready to elevate your practice, transform your team dynamics, and tap into a wealth of knowledge, then buckle up. This episode is packed with insights you won't want to miss. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Well, welcome to another episode of the Mint Door Podcast. And like we said in our introduction, we are bringing a fabulous guest today, Kevin Henry. Kevin, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, it's my honor to be here. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation. There's lots of fun to talk about here. And so, Karen, let's get right into it.
Yeah, so as we alluded to in our introduction, that you are a champion for dental assistants and you have been throughout your career. And we'd be really interested to know, what's one actionable step that a dentist could take today that's going to empower their assistants and make a more fulfilling work environment for their team?
Love that. And I think it boils down to that C word that we hear about so often, and we're not very good at from time to time, the communication side of things. And I really think that one of the biggest things that I always encourage dentists to do is to talk to your dental assistant about his or her goals for the upcoming year or the quarter, or however you all measure success in your dental practice. Because so often we know what the dental assistant's job functions are. Let's be honest, we do. But we don't know what that person's hopes, goals, dreams, aspirations, whatever it might be. A lot of times we kind of keep those inside, or we think that those are kind of personal. And I think whenever a dentist connects with his or her assistant to say, where do you hope to be a year from now? How can I help you with that? How can we work together for that? I think it knocks down so many walls, and you realize that that person is not just a dental assistant, but that person is a person with goals and hopes and everything that they want to accomplish in their career as well.
I think and as you're talking about that, the thing that I love about this is, in a dental practice or in any business, very often, let's say the dentist would be the star of the show. And to be able to give that level of attention and focus on a dental assistant is just like the potential from that must be huge. Is that what you see, that these assistants, once they come up with their dreams and goals, where do they get to?
Well, and that's just it. They may no longer be assistants a year, 2, 3 years from now. They may want to transition to the front desk. They may have a goal of going to hygiene school. And so often I've been surprised how many dentists are shocked to hear that because all of a sudden they're losing an assistant because he or she's going to hygiene school. How nice would it be to say, hey, if you do that, we want to work with you and make sure that you stay here as a part of our family. And I had a filling done the other day here at my home dental practice here in Colorado, and it just reminded me again because the dentist came in, and of course the dentist did the procedure and everything else, but the numbing process, the explanation, so many things were done by the assistant, and I spent more time during that procedure with the assistant than I did with the doctor, and it just reminded me of how important that patient assistant relationship is.
Well,
Yeah.
and by asking them their goals and letting them really think about them gives them some ownership of their destiny, which is what, really we want. Everybody wants that autonomy of their own destiny, right?
How excited are we about being told what we're going to do versus chasing what we want to do?
Mhm.
There's a whole different feeling behind that. And you're absolutely right. And I think whenever that dental assistant feels like that you actually care about those goals and maybe that you're invested in them, not just financially, but emotionally,
Mhm.
it makes a complete difference. I've seen so many dental practices turn around when the dentist actually knows what drives his or her team members.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think like you said, your experience when you went to the dentist and that one-on-one that you had with the assistant. And you can feel that as a patient when you come into an office where that care, that support, that warmth and guidance from the leader is high.
It is, and it trickles all the way down whenever that assistant feels like that he or she's really a part of the team, that he or she really has that impact on the bottom line, that he or she really impacts the patient experience. I mean, so often I think dental assistants and everybody in the practice goes through the day and you're just trying to get to the next patient, you're trying to stay on time, you're trying to find that lab case, there's a million different things going on, and we forget so often that the person in the chair, what they're going to remember is that experience that they had. Whether you're 5 minutes late or whatever it is, it's more about that care that you're putting toward them. And I think whenever there's a practice that everybody feels like that they play a role in that and that they're reminded of that every day, it makes a huge impact.
Mm, yeah. Well, and that leads me to our next question, which is you're a strong advocate of teamwork and how powerful effective teamwork can be. So, how can dental professionals encourage and uplift each other during a busy day and in that teamwork support and foster that environment of mutual love and support for each other?
I believe it always starts the very first moments of the day that you're working together. And I am a big believer in those little morning huddles, those little briefings, whatever you want to call them in your practice, but for everybody to be on the same page. And it's not just you roll your eyes, you're drinking your coffee, you check the box. It is really setting the intention for that day and setting the intention that it's going to be a good day. Here's the things that we're looking forward to. Here's what our targeted production is for the day, which keeps us on goal for this. Every day is a brick, and you're building that wall toward the end of the year when you all can celebrate, or the quarter, again, however you all measure that. But I think it always starts in the morning by everybody understanding, hey, good, bad, whatever happens today, we've got each other's back. And so let's rely on that. And those little moments whenever somebody else can turn over the room while the assistant finally gets his or her bio break, things like that are just really important.
Yeah. That's a huge piece of a day that, I mean, from our perspective of what Laura and I get to see as well, that's probably the number well, it's up there in the top five of assistants and, well, every clinician, everybody in that practice, not just clinicians, not
Yeah.
getting those mini breaks to be able to, for self-care,
Mhm.
whether it's, a bio break, whether it's getting a glass of water, whatever, but they're the things that get missed out of the day.
And there are some friends out there who have written articles for me for Dr. Bicuspid or that I've talked to, and they talk to me about those moments of not only getting that mental break, but also those moments of stretching, those moments of doing things to take care of your body during the day as well, not just your mindset, but also your physical, what you're bringing to the table as well. And I think that's really important because I think our first notion is we're going to pick up our phone and see what's going on in the world, or we're going to do something like that to kind of distract us. But I think to stay in that moment and to make sure that while you're on the job, you're actually focused on what's going to make you the best at that job that day is a critical piece of success.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I know that you're a big fan of baseball and I love sports analogies, but it just makes me think of elite athletes and what they do before, during, and after a whatever they do for their job.
Yeah.
And we're elite professionals. And if we start thinking that way, like you said, and really focusing on what we can do to take care of ourselves so we show up as our best all day.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough that I spent a lot of time around the Colorado Rockies. You're right. Baseball is a passion. I'm a writer. And we get to go in the clubhouse about 4 o'clock usually for a 6:40 game here in Denver. The players have already been there for 3 hours before we ever see them. And it is about eating right. It's stretching. It's going through your drills. It's doing all the different things. And then so often after the game, whenever we go down and talk to the players about what happened in that game, we'll have to wait for them because they're in an ice bath or they're getting treatment done for what happened during the game. Yeah, we think our job is important as reporters, but they know that their job, they can't be at 100% unless they take the time to recoup or prepare. And so I think the same thing about a dental practice as well. You have to take that time to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, the preparation, it's a mindset change that's needed that that goes hand in hand with a sports team. But
It
yet doesn't go hand in hand with a dental practice yet. And I
yeah.
think that's what it sounds like the three of us are all big advocates for we need to get to the point where this does become.
Well, and we've all talked to people in this profession that their goal is to literally get through the day. That's
Mhm.
what they do whenever they show up at 8 o'clock. They're already looking forward to 5 o'clock. And trust me, there are days like that. I get that. But if all you're doing is looking forward to the end of the day, you're not in the moment and you're not really taking care of yourself at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whenever that might be, whenever your body really needs you to. And so I think, like you said, mindset is everything about preparation, but also making sure that you're in the moment rather than already counting the minutes until you're walking out that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
important.
It's so important. So thinking about somebody who goes to work like that, like the first person that you described, that they just want to get to 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
They're not somebody that it sounds like they're truly loving what they're doing in the moment. So, in your experience, what's the biggest indicator that you see that somebody really does love what they're doing in their dental practice? And how do you translate that passion into better patient care and practice success at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think anytime we walk into a restaurant, anytime we walk into anything that is service oriented, we can tell when that person that is working with us is happy. It feels like that they're where they need to be. And I think that that's important for us to remember in the dental practice as well. Again, that patient experience and how important it is for us to focus on Mrs. Jones. Even though Mrs. Jones is a talker, even though she's going to run you 5 minutes late because she's showing you every picture of her granddaughter and everything else, it's still important to her that she's heard and that you hear her. And so I think that we've got to always keep that in mind that while we want to be 100%, we also need to pour a little bit out to not only the people that we work with, but the people that we come into contact with as well. Because you never know when that patient sitting in the chair is going to need somebody. I always joke about the dental assistant as a bartender. She's a psychologist. There's a lot of different roles that dental assistant plays every day. And so often it may be talking that person off the ledge because they're worried about how they're going to pay for that crown, or is that crown going to hurt? So I think it's really important that we remember that. and that attitude that we bring to talking to somebody, that we're invested. If we were doing this podcast and all I was doing was looking down at my phone and doing other things, you guys would be like, what's going on here? So I think we have to think about what we're bringing to the table every day as individuals in that dental practice.
Yeah, I think that you bring up such a good point there that the moment is really what matters. And we are in a typical dental practice, we're always looking ahead because we're always trying to prepare for the next and be ready to go for the next. And dental assistants are excellent at that. Like, I mean, I've worked with some exemplary dental assistants that are great, but it's also so important to just be in that moment with who you're with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes down from the dentist, from the leader as well, because I think sometimes, and I know some people are going to cringe when I say this, it's okay to run 5 minutes late. It's okay to run a little bit late if you're really taking that time with the patient that is needed. And it may not be clinically, it may be emotionally, it may be talking with them about what next steps and payment or whatever that might be.
Mhm.
I know so often we are run by the schedule in practices, but I think it's more important that we make sure that that patient feels heard and not rushed out the door than anything else.
Mm. Well, yeah. And, being a patient myself, I've never complained about getting taken back late when I'm treated with that same diligence and care.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we overlook things that may go wrong, whatever it might be, if we think that that person has our best interests in mind. And you're exactly right. Again, back to that filling the other day, they were running about 10 to 15 minutes late. I'm sitting there in the waiting room, I'm sitting there, I'm on my phone, I'm answering emails, whatever it might be. I'm okay doing that, as long as they know that, as long as I know that they've got my best interest at heart. I want to make sure those instruments are sterilized. I want to make sure that room is clean, all these different things. I want that as a patient for sure.
Yeah. You want to make sure they got their bio break.
And their bio break too. Yeah, I don't need the dental assistant doing a little dance there while we're trying to make sure this filling's all good. No doubt.
Very, very true. And, it gives you an opportunity to take your bio break before the appointment too.
Yeah, because gosh, we know patients never sit in the chair and then go, oh wait, yeah, I need to go to the bathroom real fast. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. That's key. You're so stressed about getting them back because you're a few minutes late, and then that's when they choose to go to the bathroom.
Absolutely.
Oh well. Well, you've been in this world, and you have a book that I'd love to hear about: battling and beating the demons of dental assisting.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's actually a course that I do, and I've been fortunate enough to do it all over the world, in South Africa and the greater New York. I mean, I've been blessed to talk to dental assistants all over this great world of ours. And the whole thing is that I know that there are four demons that so often dental assistants have to slay almost every day. There's the money angle. We know that the dental assistants are often the most underpaid members of the dental team, and that's not a secret. Everybody knows that whenever you come to work every day. There's the respect side of things. There's the feeling like it's just a job, and then there is just the whole getting along with each other side of things. And so the book really dives into each of those four things and what I've experienced from dental assistants and the stories that they've told me through the years. My goal anytime that I speak or that somebody reads my book or they read an article that I've written, it's because somebody's made a mistake and they're willing to share that mistake so that others don't make it. And I think that that's such an important thing, is that we learn from others and we're really confident in the fact that other people have messed up before and they've survived it. And we want to make sure that obviously they never mess up in the first place, or if they do, they know what next steps are.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a great book, and I love that. I just had a client who was coaching the other day who started the conversation with, "I'm just an assistant,"
Oh yeah.
and we
Oh,
stopped right there. And I was like, you know what? That practice wouldn't go anywhere without you. You know that, right?
love that. I love that. Yeah, that's one of the drums that I bang so often. There's a song by Eric Church out there, if you're a country music fan, called "Kill a Word," and he talks about all the words that he would take out of the English language, and one of mine is "just," because I think that is such a debilitating word whenever we say that.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, we'll make sure that you can find that book on Amazon, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and we'll put that link in our show notes down below. You also alluded to
Yeah.
drbycuspid.com.
Yeah, I have been fortunate enough. So I always am asked, are you a former dental assistant? And the answer is no. I've never even worked in a dental practice. I will admit that, and a lot of people raise their eyebrows at me when I say that. But I've been a part of the dental journalism world for the last 25 plus years. I've been managing editor for Dental Economics, editor-in-chief for Dental Products Report, which is no more and really makes me very sad. And then the editor-in-chief for Dr. Bicuspid. And it's given me the opportunity to interact with so many people around the world and to go into practices and, like you, watch how they do things and try to understand why they do certain things as well. But yeah, Dr. Bicuspid is where I currently am at, and I love writing stories there to reach our audience.
And so that's an online forum,
It
right?
is. It is. Yep. drbycuspid.com. It is. And we have a daily newsletter that comes out every day at 1:30 Mountain Time, since that's the important time zone in this country, right?
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, every day at 1:30 Mountain Time, we have a newsletter that comes out, and it's usually got some, shall we say, true crime stories that have to do with dentistry to kind of get you to open it and read it. And then we've got some good practice management and clinical information underneath there for well, not just for the doctors, but for the entire team.
Awesome. Describe true crimes. What do you mean by true crime?
Well, there are those dentists and dental team members that go astray, shall we say? We talk about embezzlement. We talk about real life cases of inappropriate conduct or contact in the practice. There's a lot of things. And again, my goal with that as the editor is to make sure that we're not just reporting on it, but it's also a teaching moment where dental practices can learn, oh, this is what they did wrong, or these were some of the signs that dentist saw. So maybe we should watch out for it here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's so important. And, to be able to learn from things that maybe don't go as perfectly is one of the true gifts of intelligence, I think.
Well, we are human and we work with humans, and sometimes those humans don't act the way they should. So yeah. I had somebody joke to me the other day that they never wanted to be the lead story on Dr. Bicuspid, and I said, well, I hope you never are, because I'm trying to teach you how not to be. So absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll get that link in the show notes before or below too. And then also, you are a certified disc facilitator, right?
Yeah, I am. I've been doing this for about a decade now, and I love to work with practices. DISC is about personalities, well, how we're all wired differently. And there's so many times that, and you've seen it, you work with a practice and people just butt heads because they believe different things. And so often it's about understanding that other person, they're not evil. They just have a different way of looking at the world than you do. And how can we work together to get past that and just see the things that bring us together rather than pull us apart?
That's fantastic. And you have a PDF on how these assessments can help any dental practice. Is that correct?
I do. And I'd love to obviously share that with your audience, because I think that, again, we don't understand, we don't know what we don't know. And I think that personality assessments really open up a lot of eyes to, if you fall into one of these 4 DISC personalities, and again, what that means for not only you, but that person that you work with, as well as, let's be honest, that person you live with as well. My wife and I are completely different personalities, and yet we found the way to work on our communication so that we both get out of our marriage what we want.
I love that. I love that you bring up, so often what we work on at our job spills over into our personal life. And that, so that's a beautiful thing. If you can work at something within the family of your employment, and then spill over into your personal life, into your community, that's really impactful.
And I know so many dental assistants who bring the frustrations home with them, as you mentioned, and it lasts through dinner time. It lasts into the time with kids, and it's just not good, And while I never encourage a dental assistant to leave his or her job, I always encourage them dig deep into what's really bothering you, and don't be afraid to to talk about that, to have that communication, to say, this frustrates me every day. What can we do to change that?
Gosh, that's beautiful. I love how passionate you are about dentistry and how you have woven your unique talents of writing and dentistry together. And it's obvious that you truly care, that you have the biggest heart and you truly care.
I appreciate that, and I'm very blessed to have been surrounded by a lot of people in this industry who have helped me understand some of these trials and tribulations. And whenever you kind of see how you can help people, it's amazing how that you want to do more of that. And so I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Kevin, thanks for being with us on the podcast today.
I enjoyed the chat. Thank you both for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. And listeners, make sure and check out all the links below and find out more about Kevin Henry. And we hope you found some encouragement from our conversation today. Know that we adore you, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Mint Door Podcast. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and subscribe for more holistic performance content.